Hi, my name is Amira Shawi Badawi, and I am a professional certified coach from the International Coaching Federation. I am a leadership and well-being coach who specializes in occupational burnout. Today is the second episode in a series talking about the use of technology, namely AI-driven technology in the coaching industry. In our first episode, we had a guest speaker, Dr. Dina Salah, who kind of explained how AI and augmented reality and all of that kind of works. Today, I want to talk about the price we pay when we decide to use these technology. And when I say price, I'm not talking about membership fees or the cost of the app. I'm talking about the things that we lose when we use technology. And technology has been around forever, ever since man invented the wheel and discovered fire. Anything that made our lives easier or better can be classified as technology. However, in the last 30 years or so, technology has been growing at a very rapid pace. And it has become very portable and affordable, and therefore it's integrated into our everyday lives. And this is why I think there's a big discussion around the use of technology. And today we're going to talk about how clients use technology. So I'm not going to go through how a coach might use technology to manage their business in terms of scheduling, invoicing, or customer service. No, I'm going to talk about how clients might use technology to aid them during the the change process. And there are four types of technology that can be used when a client is working on a coaching engagement. First, we have what we call nudge technology. And these are, apps or even devices like a water bottle that kind of sends you a signal so that you can do a certain act. So the water bottle might light up so you can take like a swig of water, or you might get a notification every 75 minutes on your laptop so you can get up and move around and kind of stretch. So this is what we mean by nudge technology. Then we have other apps that we might use to measure certain things and track and trace the improvement in these measurements. Again, something like pedometers that kind of measures how many steps we've walked in a day, or blood pressure, or anything from that sort. Then we have apps that kind of teach us new life skills and help us to practice these life skills, such as guided meditations and apps such as Calm or Headspace. And then we have the hot topic, the use of AI-driven technology to substitute human coaches and even human therapists. So these are the four types of technologies that we're going to talk about and the costs associated with each one. So first, let's talk about the nudge technology. Again, it's something that gives you a signal so you can take a certain action. Now, the thing is, our bodies and our minds already do this very well. They are so great and so effective and efficient at doing this. The problem is we get distracted with life, with stress, with noise, that we don't pick up on these signals. And sometimes when we pick up the signals, we don't know what they mean. We don't know how to decipher them. And this is why we work with our clients on their awareness. We learn how to pick up these signals and we learn how to decipher them. And then each client can kind of decide how they want to respond to each signal. So when we use external devices, even if it's just a water bottle or a smartphone, to kind of send us these signals, I wonder what is going to happen to the brain function of awareness. And let me give you an example of an ambiguous technology that we all use, GPS. GPS has been around for, I don't know, 10, 15 years. We all use GPS every day. But studies have found that the more we come to rely on GPS apps, the less we know how to read maps, which is a skill. So we're losing that skill. But not only that, our navigation brain function diminishes. So we have a part of the brain that is responsible of navigating, of kind of visualizing where we are in space and where we need to go and how to get there. That part of the brain is diminishing the more we rely on GPS. And it makes sense. Our brain does have a kind of use it or lose it approach. So similarly, if we rely on technology to kind of nudge us to do certain activities, what's going to happen to the brain function of awareness? And this is why I would tell my clients, use this technology, especially in the beginning when we're still learning to read the signals and to understand them. But don't rely on them 100%. Don't rely on them 100% so we don't lose this awareness function within the brain. Now, when it comes to measuring and tracking and tracing these measures, again, it makes sense to use pedometers and, things, devices to count steps. Because, yes, of course, I can count my own steps, but who's going to do that? I can even take my own, pulse and measure my heart rate. But it's not always accurate, and sometimes you find it difficult to find a pulse, which you might panic a little bit, and that can impact your heart rate. And then there are other measures where you need an external device to measure blood pressure or glucose level in the blood. But there is a big difference between using an external device that is not connected to the internet, that does not retain these measures and this data, and using our phones or our smart watches that are constantly collecting this information, storing it, and using it in ways that we don't know how. And especially when we talk about free apps. And here I'm not talking about, the things that come, preloaded on your phones or an app that you download when you purchase a smart watch or an external device. No, I'm talking about the apps that are just free on the App Store that don't connect to it, doesn't need a specific device to connect to. They can connect on any device. Companies need to make money. So if they are not getting the money from you in a term of a device that you buy or you're paying like membership fees, they're going to get their money somewhere else. And usually it's going to be through your data. So ask or just read the terms and conditions, know how this data is being collected, how it's being stored, and with whom they're going to share it. Because they might be sharing this data with employers, and you might lose an employment opportunity because you have high blood pressure or you've missed your period for 2 months, and they don't want somebody who's unhealthy or pregnant on their staff, on their team. So just be mindful of how the data is being utilized. When it comes to apps or technology that helps us learn a new skill and practice, again, I would be just cautious about how we come to rely on these apps. And I mean, again, anything that helps us to learn something new and practice is helpful until it no longer is. So if you are relying on these apps to perform these skills, this is where I would be cautious, because we have the brain function to help us perform a certain activity or a certain skill. You can use the technology to learn it and to practice in the beginning, but don't rely on the technology to continually practice afterwards. And I'll give you an example of mindfulness meditation. There are apps that help you to practice mindful meditation. They have guided meditation practices, but also you need to learn how to do it on your own and to anchor your mindfulness with something such as your breath. So that when you don't have access to this device or this app and you need to practice mindfulness, you will be able to do it. Furthermore, when it comes to mindfulness, for example, it's about learning to focus your awareness away from distractions and towards something that is important to you. So these apps, they're just another layer of distraction. Again, it's useful to use them when you are learning the skill and just practicing in the beginning, but don't rely on them. Now, lastly, let's talk about substitute technology, the apps that are going to take the place of human coaches and human therapists. What do we lose when we start to use these apps? There was a study that was conducted, I believe, in the 90s, and it was led by Eric Dehan, who was kind of a big name in the coaching industry. And the aim of the study was to discover or to identify elements that impact the efficacy of coaching. What makes coaching work? And they came up with numerous elements, but they found that the most important element was the coaching relationship between the coach and the client. The stronger the relationship, the better the coaching outcomes. And I mean, the coaching relationship is built on trust and partnership between the coach and the client. Now, do I think that a machine can substitute this relationship? No, I don't think that's going to happen. And we've seen this. We know that social media cannot take the place of social interactions. And we know that social media can actually be harmful and nefarious. So no, I don't think that a machine can take the place of a human coach and a human therapist because of the relationship aspect. But can it substitute certain parts of coaching? Yes. And I think the technology is already there and it's working towards full substitution. This is their aim. And I think that maybe the technology can help in certain aspects, especially when we're talking about transactional coaching, where we are focusing solely on the goal. And in like laser coaching or speed coaching, where the session is like 10, 15 minutes long, it's just question and answer, question and answer. There is no room for reflection, no room to explore, just asking and the client is answering. I think this is where probably AI could help, especially in organizations when it comes to executive coaching. They've already been using AI for a long time. And yeah, I think this is where the machine can probably take over. But when it comes to transformational coaching, where we kind of focus on the human being, and the human being kind of works on themselves and to transform throughout the coaching engagement. No, I know that the technology is not there yet. And I don't think it's going to get there because we still need and crave human connection and human interaction. And a big part of what we do as coaches is we empower our clients. And we empower them through tools and techniques and methods, but also through certain beliefs that coaching is based on. We believe that our clients are capable to do for themselves. And this is why we do not give advice. We do not give opinions, because our client does not need our advice or our opinion. They can figure it out and they can do it for themselves. They just need a little bit of help and a little bit of support. So this belief of that the client is capable, it comes through in everything that we do during that coaching engagement, through the trust that we have that our client can do for themselves and will do for themselves. And eventually this belief kind of transforms from me to the client, and they start to believe in themselves. Do I think that a machine can do the same thing? I would say no. I would say no. But whether you choose to use technology as a client, that's really up to you. However, I would say be aware of certain things. First and foremost, I mean, not all technology is the same, especially when it comes to proficiency level. Technology that has been around longer will be better. When it comes to AI, it's not necessarily new, but it's still in the infancy phase, so it's still learning. So it's not going to be very good. And it's going to learn using your data. So know how your data is being used and how it's being stored. And when you opt out of this app or this service, what's going to happen to your data? ask these questions. And at the end, it's in these companies' best interest that their technology works. And maybe a part of getting the technology to work is not letting the user know that they are dealing with a machine, just letting users think that they're dealing with a human being. So maybe you need to ask yourselves, do you have a right to know when you are communicating with a machine or a human being? And this will bring us to the topic of our last episode in this series, which will dive into the ethical implications of the use of technology, and namely AI in coaching, whether from a technological perspective or from a coaching perspective. And that's it. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for our next episode.